May 16th, Sabbath Day. 'Tis well that we crossed the Nemaha last evening, for it is rapidly rising. The cold wind blows very hard and very disagreeably, and the atmosphere is cold enough for a drear November morning. May 17th. We came about 18 miles. The bluffs along the river are beautifully rolling and as high as many as we see on the Illinois River. We passed 5 other new-made graves. We found an excellent and beautiful camping place, a half-mile from the road, by the side of a little stream. We have seen no Indians for several days. May 19th, crossed the Big Blue without any difficulty. The road today has been more hilly than that of yesterday. We passed 4 new-made graves. The deaths are principally occasioned by colds and diarrhoea, brought on in some instances by exposure and fatigue, but we think most generally from imprudence in eating and drinking. May 20th, passed 2 new-made graves. One person died of measles, another from causes not mentioned on the inscription at the head of the grave. I have not seen an Indian for several days, though we are now within the midst of a tribe of Pawnees, who are reported as being rather hostile and very thievish. We crossed the Little Sandy about 4 o'clock and encamped, I should judge, about 1.5 miles from it, in a natural hollow, which contained some standing water in places. May 21st. There has been rain slowly falling all day, and we concluded that on account of this, it was best to go no farther today. We halted about 2 o'clock, with the intention of remaining here until morning. The rain has now about ceased to fall, and we begin to think it is all over. May 22nd. We travelled about 12 miles. 2 miles brought us to Big Sandy. We went very slow on account of the bad state of the roads, which, owing the rains of last night and yesterday, had become very muddy. Last night, Mr. Stevenson's horses, 5 in number, took a stampede, and we were compelled to leave him and his family, as he could not come on until he had found them. This evening, however, 2 of our men, who had remained with him to help him in searching for them, overtook us and brought us the joyful news that they had all been found, and they will overtake us tomorrow. May 23rd, Sabbath Day. Owing to the Indians being reported as numerous, we do not consider it best to remain more than 1 night in a place, and we therefore travelled some 7 or 8 miles today. The day is clear and warm. Mrs. Caffey is very ill. May 25th. Rained yesterday afternoon and last night almost incessantly, slowly making the roads bad and travelling disagreeable. We met a large train coming from Fort Laramie, loaded entirely with buffalo robes. The men who drove the teams were a mix of French and Indian, and spoke a kind of French, Indian and English jargon when talking with each other. This, mingled with a host of curses in English, sounded strange to our ears. May 26th. The weather is fine, but the dust flies so thick that in some places it was difficult for us to see our way. We passed 4 new-made graves. One was that of a man who was murdered and found on the road by some passing emigrants. Upon examination, it was found that he had been killed with buckshots and stabs with a bowie knife. May 27th. We were informed this morning that it would be 25 miles to wood and water. We accordingly laid in a supply of these necessary articles before starting. We were afterwards very much pleased, as we camped on the prairie where neither could be obtained. We passed no fresh-made graves today. Mrs. Caffey, who has been very sick, is much better and only requires care to keep her from exposure. May 29th. It came 8 miles to Fort Kearny. We were halted a while to write letters, look at curiosities and so on. The fort is a rather shabby-looking concern, but contains 2 very good-looking dwelling houses. To us who had been travelling for 3 weeks without seeing a house or anything like civilization, these presented an appearance of a very pleasing nature. May 30th, Sabbath day. Intended to have lain by today, but after taking all matters into consideration, we concluded that it was best to cross the river this morning. We found the crossing more tedious than difficult. The place we came through was about 1.5 miles wide, about 3 feet deep. It took a team just 1 hour to cross it. We find no timber on this side, the north, except what grows on islands. June 1st. The weather is exceedingly hot, making going ahead a tedious and laborious occupation. Our sick folks, who were all rather better when we crossed the Platte, are getting along rather slowly. Amidst all the obstacles which seem to come across our way in the course we are pursuing, one hope seems yet to inspire us all. That of one day arriving at the place of our destination. Where other folks have gone, we certainly can go. At any rate, we think so. We met a company today who had started back to the States on account of sickness and death. They buried 1 man yesterday and another this morning, and had come back about 4 miles when we met them. June 3rd. In one place, the bluffs came up very near the river, and I ascended on horseback to the top of the highest one that we could see from the road, and there saw indeed a romantic spectacle. The Platte below me flowing on in peaceful music, intersected with numerous islands covered with timber, where no other timber could be seen. The emigrants' wagons, cattle and horses on the road in each direction as far as the eye could reach. Some of our company killed a buffalo today, which considerably changed the regular routine of our diet at supper time. It tastes almost exactly like beef, but has a considerably coarser grain. They also killed a prairie dog and brought it to the camp. They're curious-looking animals, resembling the rat, squirrel and rabbit, and look as if they might be good eating, though we do not like to be the first to try them. We camped again near the Platte, on the margin of a little creek called Skunk Creek. We last night experienced all the realities of a Platte storm. The rain fell in torrents until 1 o'clock, while the thunder and lightning was to some the most terrific and to others the most sublime of any thunderstorm we had ever witnessed. The tents belonging to some of our company were upset in the midst of it, the wind blowing a perfect gale, rendering it almost impossible for even the wagons to keep their places.